Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Tom Moon with Accordant Company. Thanks for joining us for our webinar today on Sage Intacct Construction. Our presenter today will be Zach Merstorff. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. We have muted everybody just to have a clean listening experience, but we'd like to keep this session interactive. So certainly any questions that you have, feel free to ask those throughout the presentation, and I'll be monitoring the chat at the bottom right there on the panel. Following the event, we'll be sending out an Uber Eats gift card and a recording of the call to all participants. So stay tuned for those after our session here. In terms of our agenda today, I know that many of the folks on our call are Sage 100 and 300 clients, but I see that we've also got a number of Sage 50 and QuickBooks users joining. So I'll spend just a few minutes introducing Accordant and Sage Construction and the topics that we'll cover today. In our presentation, we'll briefly review the payroll options within Sage Intacct, along with some key differentiators between cloud and desktop software, and then go into what third-party integrations exist today within the platform. After that, we'll dive into how you can manage consolidated financials with dimensional tagging in Sage Intacct, go through the native construction and AIA billing that's available, and then the configurable dashboards and reports that are available standard with Sage Intacct. Introducing your webinar team for today, Zach Merstorff works both in our consulting and sales teams here at Accordant. Zach has about 10 years experience working at a CPA firm managing client books, and then also works now implementing Sage Intacct within a variety of industries here at Accordant. Zach is relied upon by our sales and consulting teams to really help with more complex financial questions and workflows during the sales and implementation process with Sage Intacct clients. And then works as well with our clients in Canada. I'm Tom Moon, Marketing Manager here at Accordant. I have about 20 years experience working at Sage and other Sage business partners, sharing the benefits of cloud-based financial software. A little bit about Accordant. For those who don't know us, we're one of the largest Sage business partners in North America. We have over 5,000 clients. Across over 40 states and 7 provinces in Canada. Matching that, we also have, our internal staff is spread across the country. Although we're based in New Jersey, we have staff in 30 states and 5 provinces. So certainly understand the local nature of our clients' businesses too. Historically, we've implemented a lot of Sage 100 and 300 clients, but the last couple years, we've really seen an acceleration in terms of companies moving to the cloud. We now have about 200 clients that are using Sage Intacct, which we'll show you today. Because of this, we've really built out our team to also take on more implementations and support our clients. And then we're also managing other verticals as well, like manufacturing, healthcare, and nonprofit. Moving from a team of 50 in January to over 85 staff members today. So things have been pretty busy. We're problem solvers at heart. 2/3 of our team members work both in our consulting and support teams, helping our clients to optimize their business processes and workflows within Sage 100, 300, and Intacct. Lastly, we are proud to consistently be rated one of the top, Bob Scott's top ERP vendors consistently, and then we're also a Sage Premier Business Partner as well. One last slide, just a bit of background on Sage Construction. I've also included a few links that I'll share after our presentation. Many folks on the call probably remember the old Timberline name. Sage acquired Timberline about 20 years ago, and they've continued to build out the 100 and 300 products. Right now, there's approximately 60,000 companies using both programs. So, certainly an industry leader, and Sage has been for the last 50 years. Within the last couple of years, there's really been a shift in terms of moving to the cloud. Sage and AGC did a survey earlier this year asking about 1,000 different construction companies across North America for their take on industry trends. And one of the things that came out of that survey was that about 70% of those companies are using cloud-based project management and 50% using cloud-based financial management software in their businesses. So I think, we've definitely seen this accelerate just based on the benefits that a lot of companies are seeing, and we'll show you that today. About 5 years ago, Sage did purchase Intacct software in order to provide really a true cloud-based option for clients that are looking to move to a fully cloud-based solution. Within the past couple months, they did also purchase CoreCon, which you may have heard of. It's kind of a similar product to Procore, where there's a lot of advanced project management functionality. So, we'll be working with Sage, and I know that they are releasing an update in October timeframe, somewhere around there, for project management-based module that will link into Sage Intacct. So stay tuned for a bit of info on that. Generally, if you look at Sage Intacct, I think there's probably about 20,000 companies using it today. So certainly, it's building in the marketplace. According as a company, we work with about a quarter of the construction companies using it. So certainly understand the unique business requirements depending on what type of construction or real estate firm you are, and really know how to implement those workflows within Sage Intacct. With that, I'll pass things over to Zach to go through the Sage Intacct presentation. I know that one of the questions we had a lot before the webinar was just about payroll. So we'll go into a slide there. I'll keep this up on my screen here. Pass it over to you, Zach.
Excellent. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, hear you perfect.
Awesome. I apologize, for some reason it seems like it does not want to let me share my video cam here, but I would come on video if I can figure it out here in a second. But regardless, thank you everybody for taking your time today to join us to learn a little bit more about what Sage Intacct has to offer. Like Tom had mentioned, there was a number of questions ahead of time on payroll. So although that's not the focus of our call today, I definitely wanted to make sure that I took a few minutes to address that and talk through payroll. So I really like to think of payroll within Intacct kind of broken down in three main areas. So first of all, yes, there is in-house payroll with Intacct. I know that's a question a lot of you guys have been asking. You've been waiting to look at Intacct for payroll, and I'm happy to say that yes, there is construction payroll for those of you that like to process your payroll in-house within Sage Intacct now. Sage Intacct also has a second payroll provider or option that you could leverage if you like that native experience of doing payroll within your ERP system, but prefer to have somebody, have a third party handle the direct deposits, tax filings, those sorts of things. There is Sage Intacct Payroll powered by ADP. So it is a Sage portal that you would manage your payroll through, with ADP's engine actually being the one doing kind of like the processing in the background. For those of you that have had concerns, or I know there's a lot of people out there in the construction side of the world that have had issues with ADP in the past, ADP did acquire IDI, which is one of the leaders in construction payroll. So it is fully construction compatible for your certifies, your unions, etc. The third piece is for those of you that are not concerned with doing payroll in-house or would prefer to use a best-in-class solution. Intacct has a marketplace, which I'm going to talk a little bit about here in a few minutes. And there are a number of payroll providers that work with construction and non-construction alike that have pre-built integrations with Sage Intacct. MITRE, Workforce Go, those are two that I listed here, but there are a number of other payroll options out there. So if you don't want to do payroll in-house, maybe you're still a little leery of ADP, we have plenty of other options out there. I can tell you specifically MITRE has really been making a splash the last 6 months or year or so And a lot of people have really enjoyed that product from a true cloud payroll option that integrates with Sage. So with that, let me see if I can take screen control over here. And let me see. Tom, can you stop the screen share so I can take over on my side? Okay, excellent.
Yep, just turn that off.
Excellent, okay. Let me see here. Hang on, I apologize on my side here, getting this set up.
Zach, I just made you the presenter, so you should be able to show your screen now.
Yep. Let's see.
I see your notes side. Try the other side.
Screen here. How about now? Do you see Sage Intacct Buy with Confidence?
Yep, perfect.
Excellent. Okay, we're in business. Sorry about that, everybody. I had it hidden the section to share my screen there. So first thing, obviously, want to get you guys into the product today, talk through that. But first thing I want to go through is just kind of what Intacct is, and we had put on the bullet points of the webinar talking a little bit about, what does best in class mean, what does true cloud mean, and I just want to take a few minutes to talk through that kind of more high level, and then obviously jump into the product, which you guys are all excited about seeing. So Intacct is a true cloud solution. It comes with a buy with confidence guarantee. So Intacct has a SLA, stands for service level agreement, that they guarantee to all of their customers. What that means is you are guaranteed 99.8% uptime as part of your subscription. You are also guaranteed that in the catastrophic event that something happens somewhere at a data center, you would never lose more than 4 hours of your work, and that the application would be available again within 24 hours. This has never happened. And also, I do also like to point out to people that although Intacct guarantees a 99.8% uptime, it's actually quite frequently above that. So Intacct publishes online their monthly availability. Every few months or so they update it. So you see last time they updated it here was May of this year. And you can see that dotted line being that 99.8%. And if you average this out, it's probably something more in the neighborhood of 99.98% or 99%. So even though they guarantee that 99.8%, it's quite frequently, way above that. Now, I know some of you coming from, older systems that are on that perpetual licensing model, thinking coming to a subscription basis, or a subscription solution, excuse me, seems more expensive and you're paying an annual fee for the software. But I ran some numbers and wanted to share them with you. So say you guys, someone had one data loss event where your server got corrupt, maybe it got hacked, something like that. Even if you lost just a couple of weeks of data, or say a week of data, your server went down, something happened, you lost a week's worth of data. If you're a $30 million a year business, that's $577,000 a week of revenue. So 30 million divided by 52, that's over $500,000 a week of revenue on average you're running through your company. If you lose a week of data, that's over $500,000 worth of financial data, again, on average, that you would have lost. So by having a true cloud system and not having to worry about that and losing data and having to deal with your IT and server upgrades and those sorts of things, again, people think that moving to a subscription model might be slightly pricier, but I do want to stress that if you literally have one outage or one hiccup in your data in a 10 or 15 year time span, literally that can pay for 30 plus years of Sage Intacct. So just to give some background on that. And Intacct is, again, true cloud-based. It's not a remote desktop. It's not hosted somewhere else. That's a common misconception I see people having on the market is they hear cloud and they're like, oh yeah, I have a hosting site, or yeah, I remote desktop in from wherever I'm at. That is not true cloud. Your data is still sitting on somebody's server somewhere else. and there's very limited ways in which to access it or confined channels in which to access it from. Now, another thing about Intacct being true cloud is it's one single code base, and with your subscription, you get quarterly updates and releases into the product. So R3 is actually coming up tomorrow as one of Intacct's quarterly releases, tomorrow evening, Friday the 18th. And I just wanted to pull up, this is Intacct's online kind of repository for all the release notes and all the releases that they have, again, every quarter. And just wanted to pull up here and show you guys that look at all the different features that are coming out. And this is just one quarter. This happens 4 times a year. These are all the changes, upgrades, enhancements, new features that are coming out. So again, with that subscription model, you're not buying a static product that's the same. You're consistently getting new functionality, new features, updates, things that are going to make you and your company faster, quicker, and more efficient. Also, since Intacct is a single code base with all of these updates coming out automatically, you don't have to go down to get these updates. You're not paying for professional services. You're not having to manually, pay your IT guys to come in and do these upgrades. This is all happening automatic, real time in the background, no hassle to you. A little bit kind of pivoting back to that topic on Open API. So for those of you that are not familiar, API stands for Application Programming Interface, which is basically the fancy tech way of saying, hey, if you want to integrate with me, I'm willing to integrate. Intacct has a marketplace with hundreds and hundreds of partners that have pre-built integrations into the Sage Intacct platform. Some of these logos may be ones you guys recommend or recognize, excuse me. And what that means is if you want to work with OmniDeck, you want to work with MITRE, you want to work with HH2, you don't have to write an integration. It's already something they have created, it's on the shelf, it's just a matter of turning it on. Now, for those of you that maybe have an in-house solution or want to work with a third party that is not that does not have a pre-built integration with Intacct, again, Intacct is open API, so you can write your own integration in and out of the system. So this is Intacct's developer website. Again, their API reference is fully available online. So if you want to write API calls or write a program to view or read or write data in and out of, say, accounts payable, I can come in here to this API reference and accounts payable bills, and maybe I want to write code to create a bill. Here's all my information publicly available online as to how to go write data in and out of Intacct. And really the power behind this is, and this is one thing that differentiates Sage Intacct from a lot of other ERPs on the market, is this best of class, best of breed approach, which means that Intacct offers a lot of modules, offers a lot of functionality, but if you prefer to use HH2, or you prefer to use your own timekeeping app, or your own, maybe your own collection system, or an in-house CRM or something, you can integrate in and out with it, no problem. Versus a lot of competitors out there take what's called a suite style approach, which means you're locked into continually buying those modules from that same software publisher. You don't have that power of choice of writing your own integrations or having this great marketplace with tons of pre-built integrations. So with that, I'll wrap up kind of the background here. But again, just wanted to share with you guys, and hopefully you're getting the vibe here as I'm kind of clicking through these links. These are all things that are publicly available online. Happy to share these links with you guys, or you can do a quick Google search and find them. But hopefully you're getting the vibe here that Intacct is transparent and they're constantly improving. Intacct, as you can see, again, all this stuff's available online. They're very transparent about their service level agreement, who they integrate with, what releases, what new functionalities coming out, and they're always striving to make a better product, which is one of the things I love working with Intacct on. So shifting gears, going more into the product now. So one of the first things I was going to talk about today here was the dimensional tagging. So multi-dimension is a big piece, a big powerful chunk of how Intacct works, and really is what drives a lot of the reporting in the system. For example, here today, I'm looking at a purchase order in the system, but what I'm getting ready to show you as far as dimensional tagging, this could be done on a journal entry, a vendor invoice, a customer invoice, maybe an adjustment. You can do any sort of data entry, a credit card charge, you can do what I'm getting ready to show you here. So if I scroll down from my header information on my purchase order here, and I come down to my entries grid, you'll see these columns for job, cost code, location. These are dimensions. Job or project, as it's commonly called, is a dimension. My cost code is a dimension. Location is a dimension. So as I'm putting my data in the system here, so I have $340 on this first line, instead of having this massive bloated chart of accounts to track things by department, location, and job, I'm strictly putting my data in and then tagging that data with a dimension. I'm tagging it to this job, I'm tagging it to this cost code, I'm tagging it to this entity, this location, this item. And that's dimensionalizing all the data that really gives the power to Sage Intacct on their reporting, which we'll see a little bit here in a few minutes. Also, these entry grids are very easy to change. So you may look at this and say, Zach, you know, I like my extended price to be up here, or I prefer my memo to be after my location. With Intacct, and this is just one of the many ways that it's flexible, I can change this. I can drag and drop, and maybe if I want my location to be my first column or my second column, or billable, I don't mark things as billable a lot. Like I want to drag that down to my drop down, and I want to pull cost type or my category up here. I can change this layout grid on the fly, and it will remember this for me going forward. So again, just one of the many ways that Intacct is flexible and helps people really use the system in a way that's specific to them. Another way that Intacct is very specific to your configuration and allows you to build in business logic for your business are smart rules and smart events, which I can't really show you anything on the screen related to that here, but think of them as little business rules in the back of the system that can enforce certain behaviors or notify you of things. So maybe you have a policy that anytime you set up a new purchase order, the date on the purchase order can't be more than 3 days before today's date. We could install a smart rule during your implementation that says, hey, anytime someone tries to create a new purchase order and the day is more than 3 days prior to today's date, generate an error message. They can't post something more than 3 days retroactively. Additionally, a smart event is an example of something in Intacct where maybe you don't want the end user to get an error message, but you want someone to get an email. Hey, if this purchase order is more than 3 days backdated, I don't want to alert the end user, but I want the operations director to get an email letting them know that someone backdated a purchase order more than 3 days. So again, just another way that Intacct is very flexible and can be configured specific to your business case.
Zach?
Now, switching gears a little bit here and going into the job contract. So I know one of the topics today, and I'm sure one of the other big things in addition to payroll that people are interested in seeing here is the AIA billing and change management process within Sage Intacct. So I'm happy to say if you guys looked at Intacct maybe 2 or 3 years ago and AIA had just came out, or maybe it wasn't even out yet, Intacct does have a fully functioning AIA module. I can set up a job contract within the system. So you see I have my contract here for, maybe I'm lucky enough and doing some work on Jay Leno's garage and get to look at all his pretty cars. And it tracks all of my details in here all the way down to my schedule of values or my line item level. So I have a contract here with 5 different lines on it. I can easily at the contract level click my billing details and see my details for the entire contract. So what's been billed, my retainage amounts, any retainage that's been released. I can see any invoices created against this contract, any retainage release invoices, any payments received. All of this is available right here from my source contract. And which we'll talk about a little bit when we get into the dashboarding, Intacct is very clickable and drillable. So these blue items you're seeing here are all things that I can click on to get access to more data within the system without leaving this screen. So if I'm on this contract and I'm questioning something about the job, I can simply click this job and all of my job information pops up. I can see any commitments open against this job. I can see my estimates. I can see a summary of this job. All of this is available right here, who my project manager is. Equally, something else, maybe I want to call the architect up and ask some questions. Click on the architect's name. I have his phone number here. If I have a mailing address in the system for him, all of this is clickable. I don't have to change screens and navigate around to other places in the system. And equally, as I was showing you the billing details up here on the entire contract, I can easily show that to you at a line item level. So again, my line ID here is blue, meaning I can click on it. So this $92,000 line here, I can simply click my line ID and it's going to pop open my contract line. So now I'm looking at just that schedule of value on this contract. I see my original price, my approved change. And then again, I can look at billing details specific for this line. So what retainage has been held, what retainage has been released, any invoices related to this contract line, release of retainage against this contract line, payments received against this contract line. Very, very robust. Everything's right here. You can see I'm doing very, very little navigation, just a few clicks to go from the contract to details on the contract to details on the job to line item level detail. All right here within just a few clicks of a button. Now,
Zach, we had a few questions that came up.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
I think they'll probably be quick. So one question was, does this integrate with My Assistant? Obviously, Sage Intacct would replace 100 or 300, but can you speak to functionality for My Assistant and then estimating and takeoff, whether those are integrated?
So Intacct is really meant to replace My Assistant. I would want to, whoever asked that question, if I could maybe regroup with you afterwards to understand specifically what you're using it for. There could be a couple different ways we would solve for that in Intacct, but the short answer is more 95% it would replace My Assistant. Regarding estimating and takeoff, so Intacct does have the ability, you can natively enter your estimates in the system. However, most people, I find very commonly, they're actually going to do their estimating in some sort of a system. They're using Procore, they're using ProEst, they're using Sage Estimating, and there's API integrations there that you would do all your estimating in that product and then push it via API into the estimate in Intacct.
Perfect. Thanks, Zach. Yeah, I think the question was specifically for Sage Estimating and then for e-takeoff. So it sounds like, yeah, those are tied directly in with the API.
Gotcha. Yes. E-takeoff, I would have to check the marketplace. I can't remember off the top of my head. Sage Estimating, I know for a fact, has an integration because I actually set one up for a client about 6 months ago.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thanks. I'll double check on e-takeoff. Thanks,
Okay.
Zach.
Yep. So I took a little detour there, went to show you the estimate screen here. But this is where all your project estimates, again, you can create an estimate natively in the system. You could also build an estimate in Excel and then import it with a CSV file. But a lot of people, again, that are using e-takeoff, ProEst, Sage Estimating, some sort of estimating, Procore, whatever you're using for estimating, very common that they use an integration there. And again, if there is a system out there, maybe you use a homegrown estimating system. Again, Intacct is open API, so we can write integrations. We have at Accordant our own development team. We have written a number of custom integrations for people, but I would say BYOD. You can bring your own developer if you guys want to write an integration yourself or with a separate third party from Accordant. You're more than welcome to do so. There's no requirement to go through Sage or Accordant as a VAR to access that API. Again, all publicly available. So continuing on the thread of job contracts. So I'm on a change order here within the system. Intacct automatically will link your change orders into your project contract. So here I have a change order. Jay Leno, I had 10 doors originally to replace on his garage. I'm now putting an 11th one in. You can see here that I linked this contract in a specific contract line to this change order. It's going to revise my estimate by $9,095. It's going to increase my line value on that contract line by $990. And you can see here, this is all linked in the system. So again, I can click on this job contract line here. It will open this up. You see my approved change on this line for $990, and this was the same contract line I just looked at a few minutes ago. You see down here my original $82,000 I had contracted on the schedule of value, and then you see I have these two lines that linked in from my change order for $8,500 in materials and $1,400 in subcontract, revising this line by $9,900. So now my total is the $91,900. Another thing with change orders in the system is you can also print or email them directly out of the system. Intacct's templates are all driven off of Word documents and merge fields. So again, we can do them in accordance. I've had customers that prefer to do them themselves. You can print or email documents directly from the system and make the documents look however you would like. So I apologize, my Adobe's a little slow in my Chrome here, but this is just a sample one. Obviously, it says your logo here, but you can customize these, change fonts, put logos in, colors, layouts, all this stuff. Again, at the end of the day, this document is just based off of a template built in Microsoft Word that Intacct is populating with the appropriate fields. So natively, again, very easy click of a button. You're not doing this in Excel, doing this in a Word document. You're literally putting your change order in, print or email directly from the system, saving your team a ton of time. Now, rolling forward a little bit here. So I'm sure you guys are curious, well, how do I bill a contract out of the system? This is great, Zach. You've shown me the contract. You've shown me how I put an estimated cost in, how I put change orders in. How do I actually do my billing? So there is a feature in Intacct called Generate Invoices, where you would select your contract, which I already did in this case. So it's pre-populated this page here. I can put my pay application number in, my terms, my due dates, etc. And then down here you see your schedule of values, and it's got all the information you need to do your billing. So my schedule of values, my original prices, approved changes, total amounts, if I've previously billed, what my retainage balances are, all of my basically summary data for my SOV is here. Now, the really nice thing with Intacct is it gives you the flexibility to do percentages or dollar amounts. So you see my percent complete here. I could easily come in and say, oh, now I'm 30% complete this month. Intacct auto calculates that dollar amount for me. Or I could come in here and say, I just want to bill a flat $2,500, and it will do the math to figure the percent complete out for me. So you can do it either way. I can also release retainage via this same screen or same invoicing process. And I can also hold new retainage. So my retainage percentage here is defaulting from 10% because when I configured my line, I originally told it, hey, each line is 10%, but I could override that. Maybe I only want to hold 8% this time, or maybe I want to hold a flat $500. Again, it will figure out the math for the percentages for me. Once I'm done, I simply just click Create Invoice, and then Intacct is going to pull all of the relevant details off of that contract and generate my contract invoice. This is the previous invoice I had generated for my Jay Leno garage here. And if you scroll down here, you see it's all bringing in all those contract details in here. So I've got my contract, my architect. Again, this is clickable, drillable. I can click on this, open my contract right from this invoice screen. I see my billing summary information, my change order information, and then everything down here, again, at the line item level, contract line value, balance to bill, retainage, et cetera, all right here on my invoice. And the moment you've all been waiting for, I can print my AIA directly out of Sage Intacct. I can come right up here again, just like I did with a change order, print or email. So I could also, again, email it directly from Intacct, print this out of the system, give it a second here, and it will generate my 702, 703 document directly out of Sage Intacct, which precludes you having to go and do this in a Excel document, some other software. You're getting your AIA directly out of Intacct. This template, again, is also built on a word merge document template. So I've had people that have asked, hey, Zach, can I move my notary stamp down to the bottom left corner, or can I put my logo in the upper right-hand corner, or, for whatever reason, they want to take the distribution to off on here, or change font sizes. Again, this is all built on Word documents using merge fields. So again, you can change these to your heart's content. You don't want a description column in here, etc. Intacct, you can change these AIAs to work the way you guys would like them to, or to work the way that's best suited for your company. So hopefully everybody likes seeing the native AIA here, but if you weren't wowed yet, hopefully this last little bit I'm going to talk about here is really going to hit home with you guys. So dashboards. This is really like the main thing that people love in Intacct. It helps them run their business way better. Dashboards, I tell people, if you're not a data entry user, you're simply someone consuming data from the system, you should be living on a dashboard. There's no limit to the number of dashboards in the system. You could have 1, you could have 50. All the data on dashboards is live. So everything I'm seeing here, if I'm posting bills and my AP team's just churning away, I can literally click my refresh here and it's going to pull all the latest data in. So it's not like this dashboard is always 3 hours delayed or updates once a night. Everything I'm seeing here is real time. And they're highly configurable to your needs. So what I'm showing you guys here is a sample dashboard. Doesn't mean this has to be the dashboard you use. It's not like there's a preset 3 or 5 or 10 of them and you're locked into using those. These can be configured however you want them to look. Dashboards and reports in Intacct are drillable. This is a huge thing and goes back to the comment I made of, if you're just consuming data, you should really live on a dashboard. So this project overview here, if I scroll down and I say, hey, this 752 on this Fullerton warehouse, Dallas, like this cost looks high. I don't know where this is coming from. I can simply click on that number. It's going to pull up all the details that support that number. And again, this data is coming in because I tagged my data to my job. So again, going back to that dimensionality concept. But not only that, I can continue to drill down from this general ledger into the source transaction. So not only can I see every line item that makes up that 752, 753,000, but say I open this up and my next question is, okay, great, I got the detail behind this, but Zach, this $140,000 invoice, like I don't remember this coming in. Where is this from, or who entered this? Who approved this? I can simply click on that detail and drill all the way back down into the original source accounts payable transaction. So I can click right into this. Okay, that $140,000 bill, it's from Crocker Electric and Welding. Here's my coding information on it. If I had a copy of the attachment in the system, Intacct allows you to drag and drop attachments in, so PDFs, Word docs, Excel files, emails. I could open that up right from here. Maybe I'm going to question this. Hey, I'm not going to pay this vendor, like they should have only billed me 130, not 140. Again, I can just simply click on my vendor. Again, everything that's blue in the system, I can click. Here's their information. Oh, here's Crocker Electric and Welding's phone number. Let me give them a call and ask them about this invoice. Maybe I'm questioning who put this in the system. Intacct has audit trails on everything. I can simply click my history tab here, when this was created, the created date, who last modified it, all of this information. So not only am I drilling down into my source transaction, but I can look at associated details, audit trail, vendor information right from here. So just to recap,
Hey, Zach.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, just a couple questions on the dashboards. The first one, is there a work on hand report or dashboard?
That would be something that we would just customize for you guys. So whatever work on hand means to you, whether that's more backlog or revenue or job, maybe it's a list of jobs that hasn't started yet that you've won but you haven't broken ground on. Whatever that means to you, we would build a dashboard with the reporting and the KPIs on it that are meaningful to you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Other question, assuming the budgeted hours for each cost code are in the system, is there a KPI that you can track a production rate?
That one I'd want to dig into a little bit more. The short answer is yes, you can budget out units by cost code. I'd want to understand, and we can maybe take that offline a little more, what they're meaning when they say like a productivity rate.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we'll circle back on that. Thanks, Zach.
So you're seeing here, so just to recap what I showed, I went from a high level project overview report, drilled down into a number, got the details for that number, and then drilled down into a detail on that register and got into my original source transaction and never left the dashboard. And again, these dashboards are totally configurable to what you guys want to see. Here's one that's a little bit more of a traditional project P&L where I've got columns for my different jobs and my profit margin. This is more by month. This is the customer profitability. So maybe you have multiple jobs per customer and you want to see, hey, I want to see it at a job level, but I also want to roll it up. And I want to see, and I want to see it at a customer level, a more aggregate level. And Intacct also allows for graphics on dashboards. So if you want to see pie charts, this is my contract amount across different jobs, my estimate versus actuals, my margin by customer. You can look at things graphically as well. Another thing that's great about dashboards is you can slice and dice data on the dashboard, again, without leaving the dashboard or creating new reports. So maybe you're like, hey, Zach, this is great. I'm seeing all this summary level information, but I just want to look at my warehouse jobs. Just only show me jobs that I tagged as warehouse jobs on this dashboard. I can click this drop down here and say, show me all my warehouse jobs and apply. And my dashboard is going to dynamically update. So I can see every single warehouse job, and you can see all of my KPIs, all of my reports down here, they all filter down. So now I'm only seeing warehouse jobs here. And again, same drill down capability, all real time. I could change the date on a dashboard. Hey, this is what everything was looking like as of 12/31/22. How are my warehouse jobs doing as of 11/30/22? Apply. Again, everything's automatically updating, real time, drillable transaction activity. Additionally, one other thing I like to bring up to people on dashboards is the ability to track statistical data. And this kind of goes back to the question a little bit on, productivity, and again, why I would want to dig into that comment a little bit further. Is Intacct, you can track statistical data, which is what I always like to tell people is numeric non-financial data. So it's data it's a number, number of yards of concrete poured, or hours worked on a job site, or supervision hours required, or gallons of fuel consumed, or maintenance days for a piece of equipment. Who knows? It could be anything. Again, it's not a debit or a credit. It's not financial, but it's something that's meaningful to you. In this example here, I have square footage of job site as a metric. Maybe that's something that's meaningful metric to my company. Hey, how many square footage of job sites do I have active at any given time? I can see here that I have 385,000 square feet of warehouse jobs that I'm currently working on. And then the really cool thing is you can take that statistical data and marry it up with your financial data to get some really cool KPIs. So I said, okay, not only am I able to see on a dashboard, okay, I have 385,000 square feet of job site, but I then divided my total revenue for those jobs by the square footage. So I can see, hey, my revenue per square foot is $6.59. So I took that revenue for all of those jobs, divided it by that square foot, and now that's a metric I can track and you know, maybe use that as a performance metric. Maybe those are metrics that you grade and judge your performance of your PMs and other people at your company on. And I'll just refresh it here. You know, maybe I'll go and I only want to look at you know, look at all jobs, but maybe I only want to look at my, you know, my residential entity, you know, things that are related to my residential company. Filter this down. You can see here my residential company has a lot higher revenue per square foot, which would make sense. You know, houses are a lot smaller, you know, and I've only got 15,000 square feet of houses I'm working on right now, and I'm averaging $63 per, you know, per square foot of house I'm working on, versus warehouses I'm only making, you know, $6 a square foot on average because I'm doing a lot less work in a lot bigger space. And just a couple things to wrap up. I know we're kind of narrowing in on time here, but I did want to show two other dashboards quickly. You know, today's focus of our webinar was to talk about the more of the construction features within Sage Intacct and construction reporting, AIAs, things of that nature. But I just wanted to take a moment to kind of talk about how flexible dashboards really are, and that dashboards aren't just for your operations guy. It's not just meant for construction. Everybody in your company can find a use with a dashboard. So this is an example here of an AP specific dashboard. Again, this is just a flavor of it. This isn't a canned one. This is just a sample. Could be customized however you would like. And you see here, this is specific to an accounts payable supervisor. You know, what's my AP on hand? How much retainage do I have out? How's my cash been trending over the last 12 weeks? You know, what's my open AP by vendor? How much retainage do I have by job? What's my AP trend over the last 12 weeks? So this is much more of a, you know, versus reporting, this dashboard is much more KPI and visually graphic focused. This open AP by vendor, you see here this George's Excavation. I can just hover over this sliver of the pie of this donut chart and see, hey, George's Excavation, 352,000, and that's 11% of my total AP. Maybe some of you aren't graphically inclined. Maybe some of you prefer to see things in more of a number format. On my graph, I can simply click Show Data, and then now I've got my AP broken out by vendor, and it's just in a numeric format. I'm not looking at it in a graph. I just prefer to look at it in more of an Excel kind of format. And I can easily just click here and go back to my graphical format. One last dashboard I want to show here, and then we'll open it up for questions, this is more kind of a CFO or an owner's dashboard, but this is a consolidated performance dashboard showing me KPIs, my year-to-date, quarter-to-date, month-to-date, revenue, COGS, net income. So just very, very high level, someone that wants to log in the system and, hey, how's my company doing? How am I doing year-to-date? How am I doing quarter-to-date? You know a lot of company owners out there, you're focused on this number down here. You know, what's my gross profit? What's my net income? You know, and they just want to log in 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, have the answers to their questions. They don't want to dig through, you know, 50-line, 200-line reports. So this is much more, again, owner CFO focused. But again, I can drill down into this. 3.8 million in COGS year to date. Like, that looks weird. Let me open this up. And it's going to open up the specific portion of my P&L related to jobs with my comparison, because I had it comparing to prior year. So I can see my COGS this year to date versus prior year to date and continue to drill down. Maybe the subcontract number doesn't make sense. Again, just like I showed before, I can drill down into that detail and then drill down into those specific detail items and get back to my sub-ledger transactions without leaving the dashboard. And since Intacct, to kind of tie it up here, is a true multi-entity system, like I mentioned, all of this is consolidated. So in this environment, you see I have, what is this, 6 different entities set up in here. This is my performance as of 12/31/22 for all 6 entities, not just one. This is automatically consolidated. So those of you guys that are in Sage 50, QuickBooks, 100, you're not exporting things from different data files and marrying it together in Excel to get, performance figures across all your entities. It's literally right here at your fingertips. And this profit and loss, you can see I actually have it broken out by location. Here's my P&L. I've got columns for my different entities. Looks like 2 of my entities didn't have any data in it. And then I have it consolidated over here. Again, blue, I'm getting that nice magnifying glass here. I can click right into it. But maybe I don't want to see it at an aggregate level. Just like I filtered before for my warehouse jobs, I can come in here and say, I only want to see data for my general contracting entity, apply, and then now my performance dashboard has been totally filtered and it's only showing me data related to that one specific general contract entity. Equally, I can create groups of entities. So maybe you have 10 entities and you're saying, hey, Zach, it's great. I can look at all 10 entities aggregated. I can look at each entity one by one. What if I wanted to look at a group of 2 or 3 entities, maybe all my land holdings? I want to look at those together. I can create groups of entities very quickly and filter this dashboard or reports on those groups. So I have this development and subcontract group here. So that's my dev and my sub entity grouped together, and apply. And now I'm looking at a dashboard that's what I guess kind of is a partial consolidation. It's not all 6 of my entities, but it's just 2 of my entities consolidated down. Again, seeing all those metrics, my AP, my AR, my P&L, my balance sheet, just for those 2 entities. So with that, I know I've done a lot of talking here. I'm sure there's some more questions. Tom, do we have anything in the Q&A you want to take back over?
Yeah. Yep, have a few, I think 3 questions here. So the one's a follow-up on that production rate question on dashboard. So Tina's saying, what I mean was if the cost code is slab on grade and the task is 5,000 square feet, the budgeted hours to complete slab on grade is 1,600 hours. So our estimated production rate is 3.125 square feet per hour. As the project is in progress, can the actual versus budget production rate be viewed?
Yes. So that's more, and let me go into a specific job here. So that's at the cost code level. So when you're setting a job up, and I landed on concrete here. There we go. I'll just go into this one on this job. So I have this Palo Alto station. I have structural concrete is my cost code here, and I can track my production units in here. Come in here, put my units in, put my number of units completed by date, and then you would pull these out for reporting on your production units versus actual or versus budget.
Perfect. Thanks, Zach. I see 2 other questions here. We utilize Sage paperless right now for packing slips and invoice scanning. What's that process look like with Intacct?
So with Intacct, so a couple things there. So one is you can, again, BYOS, bring your own software. If you want to integrate, you continue using a paperless or some other solution for purchasing. Intacct also, you can set up your own purchasing workflows within them. So you could, basically an implementation, we would work through with you and say, what 1, 3, 5 steps do you want in your workflow? We would set those up in here. And you could, manage your workflow in Intacct and eliminate that other system. One thing I wanted to note, and let me hang on here, since you asked the question, I think I have it set up in this other entity. Intacct is now rolling out AP automation, which I'm imagining is going to soon even replace the need for those people that want to use a third-party solution. So AP automation is the ability to upload a copy of a bill or email it into Intacct. What Intacct will do is it then ingests it and uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to start coding it for you, and then a reviewer simply comes in, finishes the coding, and posts it. So this is just a dummy sample bill that has been uploaded. It pulled this information in. You can see Intacct started coding and it couldn't quite figure out who the vendor was. but it started doing my coding down here. It pulled my memos in, my line item amounts in. Someone would just need to finish it and post it. And again, it's got that AI machine learning. So as you continue to get the same bills from the same vendors, it'll get smarter and smarter. The only caveat at the moment is currently this only works for direct invoices that are not associated with a PO. Sage is supposed to, they haven't picked a specific date yet, but either end of this year or early 2024, they are releasing functionality so that this will also work in purchasing, as the question was asked, with receiving and POs, so that you can scan or email that invoice into the system and it will automatically marry it up to a receiver or a purchase order.
Perfect. I think that actually answers the next question there. So I think we're good there. But I see one other question here. We're currently, let's see. Does Intacct have a field timekeeping integration, or does it have its own solution?
So Intacct has a timekeeping piece to it where you can put timesheets into it. Most people, I would say 90% plus of companies that are using using timesheets in Intacct are using an integrating product to get the data into Intacct that has, you know, an app with geofencing and breadcrumb tracking and all of that sort of kind of fancy stuff that people are looking for with mobile timekeeping. So yes, that's very common that people are using some sort of integrated solution. There's a bunch of them out there. It really depends, I would say, on your industry. You know, maybe if you're more in kind of the heavy civil, like maybe an Assign-R type solution, or Sage Construction Management, the CoreCon product that they acquired. There's really a number of solutions out there. Some people, you know, do it through their payroll provider and have that integrated in, like MITRE I mentioned. You know, MITRE is a great construction payroll product. It has timekeeping that integrates into Intacct. So yes, the answer is yes. There's tons of options. Longer answer is my recommendation would depend on specific industry and use case.
Okay. Yeah, so they said they're moving from ExactTime to WorkMax, and WorkMax does integrate with Sage Intacct?
I believe so. I'd have to check the marketplace, but I'm like 80% sure off the top of my head that that's an integrating partner.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Okay. Yeah, we'll circle back, but two more questions. So does this replace TimberScan?
Yes, the AP automation will be a replacement for TimberScan. Again, the piece that's missing today that TimberScan can do is that matching to the PO, which again, within the next 6 months, that should be rolled out with AP automation. Some people still keep TimberScan. They have a cloud product called TimberScan Titanium. That is the more updated version of TimberScan that integrates with Intacct. I've seen some people move to that. But yes, the short answer there is once AP automation is working with purchase receipts, that yes, I imagine that a lot of people will not be using TimberScan.
Perfect. I see a few other questions. We may have to follow up because we're running out of time here, but I'll just do one last question here and then we'll circle back on the other ones. How does Intacct handle credit card management?
So Intacct has, so I'll take a quick detour here for those of you that have a few extra minutes in your schedule. So Intacct has native credit card capabilities. It also has, and I again didn't get it, I could spend 4 hours talking with you guys about all the great things in Intacct, but it has native bank and credit card feeds. So you can actually link your credit cards and your bank accounts into Intacct via Sage's banking cloud, and every 4 hours it will go out and collect new charges or new transactions and sync them directly into the system for you. So you could, in theory, have a company Amex. Every 4 hours, as charges are getting swiped, it's bringing those charges into the system. And additionally, and this is really, really cool, Intacct has rules that you can set up where you can actually have it automatically create the credit card charges. So you could set a rule up that says, if Staples is in the description of the charge and it's less than $200, automatically create the credit card transaction for me, code it to office supplies, excuse me, in the admin department, and then you're actually eliminating people even doing the keying. It's just making the charges for you, and you're dealing with the exceptions that didn't match a rule you have set up.
Perfect. Thank you, Zach. I know we're over time, so we'll just finish up here. I think there are a few remaining questions, but we'll certainly circle back on those after our call. In the next few days, we'll be reaching out to everybody who's attended with a recording of the presentation today, along with an Uber Eats gift card as appreciation for your time today. We'll certainly work with you to support your software review wherever you are in that process. We'll look at your current workflows and reports, how we can help optimize those with Sage Intacct. Certainly, we can also put you in touch with other firms to share their experience on Intacct with you as well. So appreciate the time today, Zach, and everybody on the call. We'll plan to reach out to you in the next few days and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Excellent. Thank you all for your time today.
Thanks, Zach. We'll talk to everybody later.